Hello and welcome to episode 50 of Crucible Bootcamp. I'm your host King Koala, and today we're going to be taking a look at a Rumble match on Burning Shrine sent to me by a user by the name of Bivouac2000. Now, if you recognize the name Bivouac2000, this is the same Bivouac who happened to bring us incredibly average Crucible plays. So, an interesting guest for sure this time. But we're going to be critiquing his gameplay in Rumble today, primarily having to do a lot with shotguns. How basically the shotgun warrior meta is dead come tomorrow. If you're listening to this after the 14th, there's a new patch in Destiny coming out that basically is getting rid of special ammo on death. So it's kind of changing the way you have to play shotgun to be effective. And then other little things we'll be covering are some more things about push timing and how to have proper pushes or just better pushes in general. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So Burning Shrine, again, we've covered it a lot of times, but it's just one of those great maps where you can pick the kind of engagements that you want to get into very easily based on which rooms you want to attack. So remember that we see Burning Shrine on a grid system, so let's go ahead and pull that up real quick. We can view it on a grid system, so that way we can actually label every single room on Burning Shrine, and we can divvy it up into a sort of tic-tac-toe board where we can just label these rooms. And then this is a great way to learn this particular map and how it's set up in this grid system, where you no longer have to really determine what the room necessarily is called if you play with a team. You can just say he's in room 1, he's in room 2, 3, so on and so forth. This is a great way to learn this particular map, just because of how easy it is. And then you can, after you get the rooms down, then you can go into the more nuanced callouts like back wall here in room 2, or you can go talk about A wheel or C wheel, which is the dividers between room 4, 5, and 6. So again, Burning Shrine, great map. Really easy to learn, really good setup. So we can pick pretty easily, because of these room dividers, how we want to get into engagement. So for shotgun specifically, we want to really focus on all the choke points. So there's a great choke point here at A stairs, around the bridge areas, around C flag and Bravo spawn, C stairs here, the lower hall, and then the exit out into B, and then a little bit in both of these sides here around C special and A special. So primarily we want to avoid being outside. We don't want to be here as a shotgunner at all. We want to avoid this area because it's just way too open, and there's too little cover between how you want to move around to get into an actual shotgun engagement. Because by the time you move out of cover here, if someone's standing here, that's going to be enough space where you're going to get primary down in this distance. This situation is going to come up several times. Now I chose this one specifically for today because I really want to talk about a little bit building off of what happened last episode, talking about the changes in the meta, and really talk about how you can be an effective shotgunner come the patch. And this is going to be a perfect example of what you're not going to be able to do really anymore. So right off the bat, he's just going to pull right into some of the shotgun and then have a very nice jump over the initial hardscope here. So we see right here, his opponent is hardscoped. You can see here, he has a hardscope on him. And so with this, what you want to really focus on is he slid out, right? He slid out into the lane here, which is good. And now, in order to engage, because you can see he does have the wrong gun for the engagement. This is way too far to be a shotgun battle. he's got to either decide that he's going to slide forward again, which is still going to put him outside of range, or he's going to have to jump over the top and come down on top of his target, which is what he decides to do here. Comes over the top and drops down on him. This is a great way to shotgun someone, and come the patch, that in-air accuracy of that shotgun is going to be reduced. So this play here, you really have to focus on follow-up melee. So this is really important. This is very important, right? You want to do this when you're in the air now, because this shot isn't always going to kill as much as you're used to. A lot of more pellets are going to miss because of the inaccuracy in air. So you're going to have to make sure you want to follow up melee all these shots here. So this is kind of going to be a highlight of Bivouac's play. I'll spoil it now. He doesn't get very many primary kills. You can count on one hand how many primary kills he gets. And this is a huge issue, because in the email that he sent me talking about his gameplay, that he's been struggling in Rumble. And I can tell you 100% this is why you're struggling in Rumble. So his opponent goes away, he primes him with the grenade, and he pops back into cover. So your opponent's weak. You haven't taken any damage at all, right? You look here, you haven't taken any damage. 0 damage. So you're completely safe. And you have enough in the mag here that you can accurately just continue, or you can safely just continue to engage your opponent with the primary battle. But instead he pulls out a shotgun here for whatever reason, and now he has to take this long trek into the enemy where he's completely open, right? There's no cover here, and he's just completely exposed. So all these shots are going to start coming back down on him. And you can see now that he's absolute. So he should die here. Now, this is going to be one of those confirmation bias things where he didn't die this time, so he's going to think that this play here that he made is okay. And in reality, this play isn't okay at all. You had the kill in the back. As soon as he popped back out of cover at half health and you had full health, you could have just kept your primary out and just finished him off. But a hallmark of Bivouac's play is going to be he's a warrior. So he's going to hold that sprint button down and just push in to get into his effective range with a shotgun, often to the detriment of his cover. Now, he doesn't get punished nearly enough in this game. That could be one of two things. One is it could be a hallmark of the lobby that he's in, the skill level of the lobbies that you're put in. Generally, you're put in skill lobbies that are relative to your own skill level. But if you tried this kind of play in trials, on the 8th, 9th win on the card, that isn't going to happen anytime, because those players aren't going to let you get away with that. As soon as you push into that player with your shotgun out, all they're going to do is they're going to back up, or they're just going to hold their ground and primary you down, or grenade their feet, or follow-up melee you to just trade with you instead. And you're going to tend to be put out of position. Pushes tend to put you out of position. Especially in trials, because you have to keep in mind you're gaining ground on the enemy's side. So every time you spawn into... So let's bring up the map for this. Every time you spawn in trials, you have a safe side and an unsafe side, right? So we spawn in Alpha and we spawn on Bravo. So the safe side is basically anywhere that you can move without being fired on is a safe area. So moving through the outside if you're Alpha spawn, or straight into C, these are safe movements. And same thing with Bravo. Moving into A special or around to C flag are both safe movements. But as soon as you start moving into this contested area here in B, or even outside A, and then C stairs, these are areas where you're going to end up running into the opponent. And you can kind of see right now that there's basically... These rooms here are safe. So let's kind of... These rooms here are safe. Right? This direction here is safe. But then this area in the center here is all contestable. And so you have to keep in mind that if you're in contested zone and then you're pushing a player, you're always pushing into enemy territory, right? This is their safe zone. So if you end up trading, right, you end up trading here and they die in their spawn, the enemy's in their safe zone. So they can very easily just pull back, pick up the orb, and then control your orb because they're within their relative safe area, right? Instead, when you're in contested area, right, you're in this line here, your pushes have to be you have to be more careful about your pushes because you don't want to trade, right? If you trade here, that problem arises where they have control of the orb. But if you get a kill, if you get the kill, but you're in a contested zone, what you can do is you can move back into your safe zone here, right? Or instead of moving back into your safe zone, you can move the safe zone up. So by taking map control, by taking some of this contested zone, it starts turning into a safe zone if your opponent or if your teammates follow you up, right? If your teammates follow you up into C and they're in C stairs and C flag, then your safe zone is changed to this area here, right? And the enemy safe zone is still over here, and then there's basically nothing going on outside because all the action is taking place here. And because you're on the edge here, then all your team needs to do is move into you to cover the orb. And this is what it means to attack an orb, because if your team moves in, creating another safe zone, because you want to be close to your teammates so that you can team fire. You have an area of retreat here, and then the contested zone moves forward. And once you put your enemy in contested zone and you lock them out, right? If they're locked into this area, then you have control of the game. You can decide when you want to push or when you want to hold and deal with whatever strategy you want to employ there. So this is what map movement does. It constricts your opponent to making suboptimal decisions, and you just need to put yourself in a position to punish them for those suboptimal positions. So in this case, we don't want to push here, right? Even in Rumble, you don't really want to push here because this is a spawn area, and if you push into this zone, someone's going to spawn behind you and start killing you. Which is exactly what happens. Someone spawns behind you. Now, again, he pushes straight forward. His opponent isn't really ready for it. So that's a safe push because they weren't really paying attention. Anytime your opponent isn't really paying attention, there's a brief window of opportunity for you to make a push like that. And here he's just going to see someone else and start challenging them. Throws a pre-nade a little bit far. That's okay. And his opponent jumps off to the side. Now, when they have shots on you like this, this is when you need to retreat into a defensive shotgunning mindset. You know your opponent jumped over and was sidearming you. So you know they can't really push into you very safely. They probably have a primary that's a scout rifle or a pulse rifle, so they can't really accurately attack you from the air. And if they do push at you with a sidearm, if they push into you, you just shotgun them. And if they push if they push out to try to bait you out, you can just pull your primary out and kill them because your primary is going to deal more damage than their sidearm is at that range. So you're in a really safe position here because of your weapon choice. So you just have to wait. But instead, he just pushes straight forward again, and this time he gets punished for it. So again, these straightforward pushes are an issue. You don't need to push straight forward at someone. Just because you see someone, you should trying to push around them instead of at them, unless they're not paying attention or you're pushing undercover. So here he's pushing forward, but he's undercover. He can't see his opponent right now. So this push where his opponent's on bridge is good. And he even pushes into his own set of cover. Again, not really seeing him. Here, you saw the glint, so we're going to rewind this a little bit. Try to pause it. So if you're watching radar here, you can see the glint from your opponent. And you don't have full health yet, so what you want to, your main focus on, or your main focus during these times where you win an engagement should be to get your health back. You don't want to immediately engage someone that's just hard scoped on you because they have a very good angle over your particular position, and because they know exactly where they are, they can anticipate the direction in which you're going to attack them from, right? You're going to pull out in a slide or a jump, and they're just going to body shot you real quickly. And they're going to be ready for that. When you challenge snipers, generally, you want them to not be sure where exactly it is you're going to be attacking them from. So in this case, instead of sliding out, what we want to do is slide back into the bridge and just disengage, because this isn't a good angle for us, right? He has a pretty decent head glitch, especially if he moves to this location here. He's going to have a really good head glitch over us, and it's going to be a huge issue trying to challenge that person here, especially when we have the wrong gun out. So instead, if we decide to disengage, we can actually loop all the way around and then attack with primary from heavy. Again, maybe from the lower corner here, or maybe from heavy itself, or even from back wall. We have 3 different angles of attack. So for a sniper, that makes me very uncomfortable. Like if I was sniping in this position and I knew my opponent decided to go this way, then I have 3, possibly 4 different angles I need to worry about from this position, right? I need to worry about them backtracking and coming back the same way they went, or the same 3 angles that I'm looking at out here. So as a sniper, if you're trying to hold this position, this isn't good for you, right? You want to be more backed up into this location here, because then what happens when you're sniping in this location here is that you only have one angle up into you here, you only have one angle here, and then you're blocked off from this side. So this is a lot easier to deal with, because if you read radar, you can tell exactly where they're going to be attacking you from, and you can just eliminate one whole angle out of the equation and focus on that one lane. The more you can focus on one lane as a sniper, the better a chance you are going to have of getting the headshot. So you want to put yourself in positions where you don't have to think about that. And as a shotgunner, it's important to keep this in mind, right? If we attack someone from a location with multiple angles of attack, that's good for your shotgun push. They have to pick right. If they don't pick right, then it's not going to work. Or they're just going to body shot you instead of having a headshot lined up. So that's what you want your focus to be on. Now, instead, he's just going to get double bodied twice, because he went to re-engage. Again, the sniper knew exactly where he was. And here, he just gets no landed right off spawn. There's not really anything you can do about that. Like, if you had hit the second burst, or even the first burst, then that would have been a lot cleaner of a challenge. So here this is an interesting situation that Bivouac ends up getting into. Off spawn, he has someone that's spawned right in front of him, and in this position here, he knows that one of his opponents is somewhere in this location here. But if you see off to the side, there's also an enemy here in a window or a corridor. And he's in A stand right now, or on A proper. So he really has to make a decision, right? Right now he's exposed to this angle, and he's safe to the blue. So he can either choose to go to the pillar to his left and then challenge the guy that's in A special, while also cutting off this angle here, right? This isn't going to be an angle that he's going to get attacked from. Or instead, he can go to the right at the pillar. Remember, he has a shotgun. So he can be in very close range going this direction while cutting off the opportunity to get an angle here for this opponent. What you don't want to do is you don't want to stay in this area, because it's going to be a contested zone, right? You're going to get attacked from both sides. And that's what you don't want. This is not a situation you want to put yourself into. So, especially in Rumble, if you can get into a 1v1 or cut off someone's angle, you want to do it. Even if it's a riskier play. You're more likely to survive if you're not getting hit from two sides. even though you might be pushing into a shotgunner, you're still going to have a better chance of winning that engagement than if you stay in the middle and get shot at from both sides. So here he, again, he makes the wrong decision. He's kind of waffling on which way to go. And he's just kind of playing Ring Around the Rosie. Now, if my opponent has not shotgunned me at this point, then I am not aiming to shotgun them. Like, here, I should have my primary out because there's no way I'm going to get to my opponent. There's no lane for me to slide into. I have to jump immediately here to try to shotgun this person, and I already lost it. So you got to pull your primary out a lot sooner. And then here, he just misses too many shots. He does the right thing by pushing straight forward. And now, luckily, that entire engagement pulled him into a good position, right? So he ended up not being able to give this person in the window a clear shot until he finally finished the engagement. So even though he started the incorrect positioning, he ended up in a decent one, more by luck than by anything else. But it's still important to note that there was still a better way to do that. So now we're just going to push right at someone. This is kind of an interesting spot on the map because if we look, we don't want to be in this location here on A stairs because we're completely exposed. There's no cover here. So it's very easy for any enemy that ends up spawning here or pushing in from inside platform to Bravo spawn to tag us very easily down the hall. And they can retreat very easily because we have to go all the way down the stairs in order to create cover for ourselves. Or push up into someone, making it easier for them to kill us, trying to get on the bridge. So what you don't want to do if you push this area and get blips on your radar is push all the way to this area. This is kind of like no man's land. If you want to push, you need to be more here to give yourself an opportunity to escape, or here on A stairs and use it as a head glitch. Because if we're on A stairs, it's a very good head glitch straight down. Our rear is exposed from outside, but that's an acceptable risk in my opinion if no one has shown up on radar yet and you have pings out in this area here. For Rumble, you just want to focus on whichever 1v1 you get into first. Now, if you get shot in the back here while you're fighting someone at the end of the hall, that's fine. That's going to happen. But you had a good position over the 1v1 you were prepared for. There's not going to be any one particular position that can't be flanked or that can't be hit from the side by someone that ends up spawning behind you or beside you. You just have to focus on getting into this engagement as quick as possible and then using that to create new cover for someone maybe that's pushing you from behind here by moving towards bridge after you finish the engagement or even moving all the way back and trying to round the corner. So here he has a really nice push. Again, goes over the top and drops down onto his opponent. That's a good shotgun push. That's, again, one of those places that if I'm a sniper, I'm really uncomfortable because there's too many angles. This super, he could have used on the kill that he got earlier. But when you run Ionic Blink, you want to keep in mind that you don't want to push into players with Ionic Blink. Again, I've talked about this before, but you want to push around or be able to blink through. So you want to hold on to that blink if no one's around because you don't know. Like, if he had that blink ready for when that Titan smashed, he could have potentially blinked the smash and completely avoided it and been able to turn around and kill the Titan. Or the Titan could have potentially shotgun melee'd him. And if he hit enough headshots on the pellet, which will change moving forward, but if he was running something like close and or personal, then he's going to kill you, right? And you wouldn't be prepared for that because you'd be way too close. You wouldn't have enough time to actually kill him. So it's important to keep in mind you don't want to really push into choke points if you can help it, if you have Storm popped. So he runs out of ammo and has to double melee, which is okay. There was a really good follow-up though. Like, even though he misses that shot, you want to be follow-up meleeing that quickly. You don't want to hold off on your melee because you don't normally have the luxury of time, especially when you're playing against other shotgunners. So here his opponent just completely disengages and then pulls back out. So he didn't necessarily secure his special here. You can kind of see there's a special box ready here. And if you're going to take this special, knowing that someone is off here to the side, what you don't want to do is pick an angle where you're going to get shot in the back. So you don't want to just stand on this end and get shot in the back. What you want to do instead is move around. So we'll back this up a little bit. So what do I mean by move around? So here, what we don't want to do is push this way. Because again, we're going to get attacked from this angle here if we push straight forward and try to pick up this box. Instead, we want to focus on either pushing around, which is a safe play, or through the top of the heavy. And then both of them go around shortly after that to try to get the heavy, or to try to get the special. And this is going to give you a much better chance at this angle here, because you're going to have more time to grab the box and not necessarily get shot in the back, or you'll just be able to have a better angle where you can return fire on that person. But by standing here, you're just going to get shot in the back and not give yourself enough time to re-challenge if they decide to do this backtrack. Because even though his opponent's weak, that was a decent play. There are certain things that you can do to throw your opponent off. Like most players, if they're starting to play mind games with you, like they respect you as a player and they expect you to do the right thing, and the right thing there would just be to completely disengage. If that player expects you to disengage and then you re-engage at an awkward time, namely when you don't have your full health, you could catch a lot of players off guard. Now, other players, if they don't have that level of respect for you in the game, or they just don't expect you to make the right play, they just expect you to make the wrong play, then that isn't going to work. So that kind of play works more as a mind game tactic than as an actual good thing to do. It's only as effective as your opponent will let it be. So here, he manages to get the special, which is very lucky. But for the most part, it isn't worth dying over special. Because you're going to start to convert those kills into more and more super energy, and that's going to snowball you. So again, his straightforward push put him into a position where he didn't have great cover. He had enough time to sprint forward and slide into cover, but unfortunately he didn't take that choice. There's definitely not nearly enough sliding in this match. There's a lot of like just heads up sprinting. So sliding around most of these corners, especially while you run away, you want to create a lower profile for your character. You want to make yourself harder to hit. This is a really good re-engage. He had really good positioning there. He puts himself in a good position to get a follow-up kill while someone's trying to attack him from the rear. He's really lucky he didn't get stuck here. There was a flux grenade that ended up missing him. And in this position here, even with the changes to special, this warrior forward, you don't need to push forward here. Here, you can bait this person by jumping straight up into the air. So if you jump straight up into the air, you're going to be able to shotgun down on top of them. And at this range, even with the changes, as long as you follow up melee, then you're gonna kill this person. So it becomes a higher risk when you push into players like this, especially with a slide, because you're going to end up trading like he did. Instead, you want to let them kind of come to you. Even as a warlock, your melee outranges hunter, so you can let them come to you, fire a little bit early, and follow up melee to get a cleaner trade, because you always run the risk, especially if at this extreme close range, you take the time to ADS in, even though you ADS and pull the trigger at the same time. There's a disconnect between an immediate shot there. So that ended up in a trade, but other times you could potentially not trade and end up dying instead. So just hit fire there. Even with the changes, you still want to just hit fire in that range and then follow up melee. I'm going to reduce the amount of time it takes for you to pull the trigger. Here, you just have to commit to a side. This is really good positioning. This pull back into the corner basically protects him from the area off to his right. Even better positioning here, I would have liked to see, and I don't see enough players use this, is actually crouch hop here. This gives you a really nice angle into B, and also a pretty decent angle down into the C special, C corridor area. And it's a little bit more exposed to the rear, but you're kind of already exposed down here, so you might as well take a better angle if your rear is already exposed. So it gets a cleanup kill there. Again, good angle here. You don't want to waffle in this position. So again, you need to be more decisive with your movement. Like this is a good angle, but you're kind of indecisive here where, again, you're in the open here. So you need to pick one side or the other. So you can either go in the corner, because this is the same angle that you're looking at, right? But it's safer. If you're in this position here, off to the side, you have a really good angle all the way out to back wall. This is a great angle. And it also gives you enough time to even hide around the corner and then re-engage with a shotgun shot. Or completely disengage if you have to. Either that way or straight across here. But by standing in the center here, you expose yourself to bridge, you expose yourself to people here, you expose yourself to the corner. This isn't as good as being in the corner here with the wall, because it's a lot harder for someone down below. They have to push all the way up on the stairs just to get an angle on you in the corner. So they give up the head glitch in order even to challenge you in this position here. So there, good push. Like he recognizes that he's in shotgun range. He's within that quick burst range. Here he's just beelining for heavy. Again, really important to secure your ammo blocks. And this is going to be important moving forward too, because these ammo blocks are going to be very precious, and you're going to want to try to pick up one every minute, because I guarantee you're probably not surviving for that full minute. So you're going to have to pick up another one at some point. So it's really important that you don't take the obvious route to get to these ammo boxes. So here the obvious route is straight through, and that guy on Bravo spawn was ready for him, right? He just immediately domed him as soon as he got up there. So instead you want to secure it, and the way you do that is by attacking from one side towards the obvious spot that they're covering. So if someone is covering straight across, and you kind of have a good idea, okay, if someone's covering this, they're likely going to be in that location, you want to sweep around. So you want to sweep around through back wall and engage from that angle. You want to sweep around towards lower hall and engage from that angle. Or even go on to C bridge. And the advantage of going on to C bridge here is if you don't get to heavy in time, right? Let's say someone spawns on back wall and just pushes forward to take it. Then you have a decent shot at shutting them down from C bridge by getting the angle on them as they try to escape either side. So maybe they trade a rocket with you and you kill them, or if they have a machine gun, you just outgun them because you're likely going to have first shot over them. You put yourself in a really good position, and if they don't happen to be there, then you have a solid angle over the person that's likely covering it on Bravo spawn. So when they get impatient or they see that, hey, I think it's covered, you have a good angle on their push forward. So you cut them off from it. There, he's just trying to engage the guy heavy. If I see someone shoot a rocket at me and they miss, and I'm a shotgunner, I'm probably just going to beeline for them. There's no real reason to hide and try to bait them because you're not going to bait a shotgun or a rocket most of the time. Here, being indecisive about while he's in the open, again, you need to either choose to push or choose to find cover. Don't stand in the middle. Probably should have pulled out your shotgun sooner, but good follow-up melee. Good knowledge of how much damage you needed to do to finish with that melee. I don't know if you did that melee on purpose or if it was just force of habit because you had no other option at that point. With Ionic Blink, again, if we had saved blinks, so instead of blinking here and instead of blinking here, or I guess instead of blinking earlier, we would have had enough super to blink onto this person or around instead of pushing straight at them. Like, if I see someone come around this corner here and they have a sniper out, I'm not just going to push straight into them, right? At this point here, we want to try to be going away from the angle and then attacking this direction, even if our super's gone, right? And remember that in Storm Trance, we can always throw a grenade. So you can lob your grenade here and then push this direction with your primary out and attack down at them. Or, again, we throw the grenade here, we move here, and then we jump to engage with shotgun. Like, those are both decent options. What you don't want to do is push straight forward like he does. Alright, so we're finally starting to do a little bit of Warlock surfing. We get backpedaled on. Like, as soon as you start firing on someone with primary, if you think they're going to pull out a shotgun, just continue to back up. You want to commit if you've already started firing on them. Because that commitment would have got you that kill. And instead, you kind of got greedy with your shotgun. And again, try to go for that one hit. Just because you have a one-hit weapon doesn't mean you need to be using it every single time. And in a lot of these situations, it would have been better that we didn't use it at all. So that, we just get shot in the back. We weren't really ready for it. Not a big deal. That's not a huge mistake. Like, if you wanted to fix that particular event, you should have hugged one of the walls, but I don't think what happened there wasn't a big deal. This, however, is a big deal. You don't want to push into tethers pretty much ever. And had he stayed on bridge instead of jumping with and he had his primary out, he could have killed everyone in these locations. He would have had 3 kills, possibly a 4th by the guy that was outside, and it would have put him in the lead for points. Because remember that tether isn't a buff that only works for the person that uses the tether. It also works for anyone that's shooting the person that's tethered. So that damage increase works for you as well in Rumble. So if you see someone tethered, that's a free kill for you. You don't need to shotgun them. You can just get, 2.5 bursts with your pulse, or 2 headshots with your sniper or with your hand cannon, and you can just kill them yourself very, very easily. Or even just straight 3 body shots. You don't need to hit any headshots. Again, back to that warrior style, just pushing straight into people. Utilizing Warlock Jump, the focus burst, very well. Again, these trades that happen won't give him the opportunity to have these follow-up shotgun engagements. So this patch is really going to hurt you if you don't learn how to use your primary a lot better. Right now, we've only had 1 true primary kill, and 1 primary kill where we hit 1/3 of a burst. Right, we had a 16 on someone, and it managed to finish them off. So it was okay to chase that person down with a shotgun. No one's paying attention to you. But here, like this is the biggest issue for me is this situation that happens here. Because we have our primary out. Turn around. We see someone spawn right in front of us, right? Someone has spawned and we have our primary out and we have a great angle on them. And if we move up a little bit, we can cut off the escape route too. This is an absolute free kill if all we do is keep our primary ready. But this warrior style is something you really have to break yourself off of because, yeah, it's really good at getting kills, but it's also really easy to deal with if you just move backwards or you bait them into situations where they're completely in the open, right? So this should have been a kill and you should have won this match. But you push straight into this person like you've been doing the whole time and you end up getting crossfired by the guy that ends up winning. So that was a very winnable match. And to kind of put it in perspective, I just want to show you guys something. I didn't look at, well, all your games, but I did want to find the game that you did because I counted and I only saw 2 primary kills and I thought, well, that can't be right. But it's true. You only got 2 primary kills and the melee kill was with your primary, so we'll call it 3. But you had 16 shotgun kills. You can't do that come the patch. And if you're only capable of getting basically 1 primary kill, because remember that one of those primary kills was a 16 to the body. That was it. You just cleaned someone up. And the other one was a follow-up melee. So if you can't get a true primary kill, you're going to be hurting in this meta. So really take the time to watch this a couple times to try to take what I'm trying to teach you to heart, because I would like to see you succeed. Your shotgun is solid, but what happens when you don't have that shotgun, when you have to have a primary shot? And I noticed a lot of time you fired your primary, it was lower than max rate of fire. So for you, it's kind of a good thing because they're nerfing this archetype. Your pulse timing, your shot timing looks like it would be better for a low rate of fire or a mid rate of fire pulse rifle anyway. So like Hawksaw would be better for you, and experimenting with a Parthian shot or a spare change or a Lyadmilla, or if you have a messenger, those are probably going to be very decent options because even if it's only 1 frame off the each burst, that's going to give you 0.1 seconds and make the body shot time to kill on that gun faster than every other pulse rifle. It's going to put it like 1.2 seconds. And every other pulse rifle kills at 1.3 seconds. So you're going to have an advantage over every pulse rifle if those other pulse rifle users don't hit you with all headshots. So yeah. So that's going to cover it for today. I'm not going to do anything in map or anything. As usual, if you want to support the show, become a Patreon backer. Follow me on Twitch, subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, tell your friends. Word of mouth is the greatest way to get more people involved, help everybody improve. So tell friends. If you have gameplay you want reviewed, you can always send it to me. Remember, I don't do 6s, but if you have 3s or Rumble or Trials, or just Elimination, you can send that to me, and you send that to Keen, Keen, at cruciblebootcamp.com. It goes into my queue. I'm running a little low on stuff to review, so if you send me something, it's highly likely to get reviewed, and then within a few episodes. If you've sent me something in the past and I haven't reviewed it yet, send me something again. It's likely too old for me to review because of how many patches have changed or how much is changing now. People have asked me, hey, should I wait till after the patch? And I say, absolutely, you should send me stuff after the patch because it's going to be more relevant to you. Yeah. As usual, thank you guys for watching. A small announcement. After every one of these streams that I do when I record the episodes, Mondays and Thursdays, 7 Pacific. After the show, I'll be doing primary only Rumble matches with people that are watching, or if you're a patron backer or just a friend of mine. And we're just going to go into a Rumble match and only use our primary and just work on our gun skill. So if you're interested in that, you can hang out after the stream and come play with me. And then there's going to be on Mondays it's going to be PS4, on Thursdays it's going to be Xbox, and then there's going to be 11 a.m. Pacific on Sundays, and that's going to alternate PS4 and Xbox. So this upcoming Sunday at 11, it's going to be PS4. And it'll be 1 hour. The hour before I have Crucible radio coaching scrims. And I'm going to do, again, primary only Rumble with whoever wants to play. So if you want to hang out with me, ask me questions, practice your gun skill in an environment where you don't have to worry about shotguns, don't have to worry about No Land Beyond or Universal Remote or supers or grenades or any of that, you just want to shoot your gun, come hang out and shoot your gun. But thank you guys for watching again. This has been Crucible Bootcamp. I've been your host, King Koala, and class is dismissed. See you guys next time.